On your feed this week, a renewed call for justice after an arrest gone viral.
Plus, what prompted a man to call 911 after seeing a guy with a sign. An Avian impression you won't want to miss, and wait until you hear why some passengers were stranded on their plane before it even took off.
Welcome in to On Your Feed, the streaming show where we go beyond the scroll to make sure you have the context to those shorts that you see on social media. I'm Heather Pauloff.
And I'm Sophia Pericone. First, we start with big changes coming to Toledo Public Schools.
The district faces a multi-million-dollar budget deficit, and now it's planning to close some schools and repurpose others.
That's on top of job cuts announced late last year. Steve Iwanek is on your feed to break down the vote in this budget battle.
I am saddened and disheartened with decisions that we were really forced to make tonight.
For weeks, the number has been front and center, a $68 million deficit at Toledo Public Schools. But with plans now approved, what does that actually mean? First, this number is not happening all at once. TPS says it's a shortfall over several years, driven by declining enrollment, flat revenue, and rising costs. District leaders also say changes at the state level left them $24 million short of what they expected in funding, after they say that money was shifted from the Fair School Funding Plan to private vouchers.
Understand, $24 million is equivalent to 8 large high schools. That's how much that is in account for our district and our budget.
To close that gap, the district says it's taking a two-phase approach. Phase 1, $41 million in cuts. Superintendent Romulus Durant says these were made earlier this year. Staff reductions, contract cuts, and operational changes.
We knew when we approached this and balancing this budget was going to have to happen in 2 phases.
Then there's Phase 2, otherwise known as Transformation Plan 2.0. The near $27 million in savings we've talked about for weeks now. TPS leaders say it comes in the form of 8 building closures, over $9 million in staff reductions, and operation changes like new bell times and transportation plans. So you add it all up, and you get to $68 million. But here's what's important. Not all of those savings happen right away. Some cuts already are happening, like staffing. Others phase in next school year, like the 7 affected elementaries. The full impact won't be felt until fiscal year 2027. And while staffing makes up the largest share of the cuts, other savings come from shifting federal funds and reworking how money is spent.
One of the things that we've done is how to get more for your child despite having to operate with less, and that is doing just what we've done, and we have created a true recipe of how to take a kid from 7th grade all the way to industry.
You just saw the breakdown of that money and how it addresses that $68 million budget deficit.
Now let's dive deeper into those specific cuts. TPS plans to shut down 6 elementary schools and repurpose others. That list includes Westfield Achievement Academy, Navarre, Walbridge, Pickett, Spring, Harvard, Heather Downs, MLK Academy for Boys, and Marshall STEM Academy.
As for high schools, Boucher will become an arts and science academy. START will offer early access to career technical education. Both will start accepting students in 7th and 8th grades.
You'll also see start times adjusted across the district and cuts to sports, but TPS says that it will keep what it calls, quote, viable athletic programs. In addition to those cuts, administrators agreed to a pay freeze, and TPS slashed more than 100 jobs late last year.
Now, Ohio lawmakers are looking closely at what's happening in Northwest Ohio's largest school district. Megan Hartnett explains how they're taking a closer look at the way schools are funded.
Toledo public school officials and even some elected officials are saying the reason that the district is facing a lot of the issues it is financially is because of the Fair State Funding Plan, which is the state's way of funding public education. Schools are also funded through federal funds and local property taxes, but the Fair State Funding Plan creates a set number of dollars that each school district gets per student. This was a bipartisan approach, but it was changed when the most recent budget was passed in Ohio. And now multiple school districts are sounding the alarm, saying that this change in funding is creating issues for their districts. State Senator Paula Hicks Hudson says she thinks that they should repeal legislation tied to the voucher system. The voucher system got $1 billion in Ohio last year. State Representative Erica White says she hopes there can be a bipartisan approach in Columbus to trying to find a way to better fund these schools.
The most recent state budget passed largely along party lines, with most Republicans voting in favor.
WTOL 11 reached out to State Representative Haraz Ganbari and State Senator Teresa Gavrone for reaction, but have not heard back just yet. State Representative Josh Williams says he has no comment on TPS's current plan, but previously said the state school funding model is working as intended.
It has been too many incidents of this sort where people of color have been stopped for just doing every routine thing. Walking down the street, oh, you're jaywalking, being pulled at a traffic stop, and then the next thing you know, you are bitten by dogs. We say enough of this conduct.
You just heard from NAACP President Darlene Sweeney Newbern, who says new body camera video raises more concerns about a teen's arrest in North Toledo.
Toledo police released the video showing an officer taking a 15-year-old girl to the ground and handcuffing her.
The NAACP is now calling for a full review of the city's Civilian Police Review Board and additional training for officers. City leaders also weighed in as questions about accountability continue.
Do you remember this body cam video when Toledo police officers slammed a 15-year-old girl to the ground? Well, we have an update on that Monday. The NAACP in Toledo has officially filed a complaint on behalf of the 15-year-old's family. And they held a press conference Monday morning sharing some of their new demands for the city. And I talked to the president here in Toledo, Darlene Sweeney Newbern. Here's what she detailed. 1, she doubled down on her asks, and city councils asked for mandatory training for things like de-escalation and racial profiling. 2, she asked for a comprehensive review of the Civilian Police Review Board. And 3, she asked that the city have a meeting within 30 days to discuss her proposed ideas. Sweeney Newbern, along with several other community members, talked about the importance of getting to this situation right away so no other situations like it appear in the future.
Now, Toledo police said there is no update on its internal investigation as of last check.
The 15-year-old still faces a charge of harassment with a bodily substance, along with misdemeanor charges of resisting arrest and obstruction. Some city council members have called for those charges to be dropped.
We're learning new details about what happened in the moments after a deadly attack in Sylvania.
Police say they believe Jonathan Schmidt killed his mother-in-law, then confessed to a friend. Investigators say the case involves a family dispute, as Schmidt and the victim's daughter were in the middle of a contentious divorce and custody battle at the time.
Melissa Andrews is on your feed.
This is 35-year-old Jonathan Schmidt. He was arrested after allegedly taking a crowbar to his mother-in-law's door and then killing her with it a couple weeks ago. We initially reported that Marcia Van Druten's daughter was in a very contentious custody dispute with Jonathan Schmidt at the time of Marcia's murder. Police say after Jonathan killed Marcia, he took off to LaSalle, Michigan, and contacted a friend. We've requested the supplemental police reports from Monroe County Sheriff's Office, which conducted the arrest on Jonathan Schmidt. And I want to just read this supplemental. So a supplemental is kind of additional information that's provided by the officer. So if you look at this highlighted part, an acquaintance of Jonathan's named Curtis had gotten out of the shower. He missed a call from Jonathan. He called him back and Jonathan was hysterical. Curtis said that it sounded like something bad happened and Jonathan wanted to hurt himself. So Curtis said that they could meet up to talk about what's going on. So they met up at the LaSalle bar. Curtis called police to let them know what was going on and what he had just heard. So they're at the bar, and as they begin to talk, Jonathan apparently gives a full confession to Curtis, saying that he had a hard time dealing with a custody dispute over his child and was at his breaking point. Jonathan told Curtis he went to a store to buy a crowbar and drove to his child's mother's house. Upon arrival, he walked inside and confronted the grandma of his child, that would be Marcia Van Druten, due to the mother of his child not being there. Jonathan told Curtis he took his frustration out on the grandma and that she was dead. A short time later, Curtis got a phone call from the detective. He was asked to stay with Jonathan until they got there, and we know that Jonathan was then arrested. Now, according to some other documents within this report, an officer also sees some other items in Jonathan's car. So I've highlighted this page for you here. So he's at the vehicle. This is Officer Corey Jacobs. He says, while walking around the vehicle, I observed a white beige in color rope, a claw hammer with a blue and black handle, and what appeared to be a fixed blade knife with a black handle and silver in color blade, all located on the front passenger seat of the vehicle. These items were observed in plain view through the vehicle's windows. And another page that I wanted to share with you from this report, you can see the evidence that's listed. So basically, these are items that were taken off of Jonathan Schmidt during the course of the arrest. And the top two items, blue hooded sweatshirt, white t-shirt. But then if you go to items 7 and 8, you can see broken pieces of glass located inside the hood of item 1, blue hooded sweatshirt, and broken pieces of glass located inside front pocket of item number 1. So if this is the case, this would be pretty damning evidence against Jonathan Schmidt, considering that Sylvania police have said that he broke the glass at his mother-in-law's house and then killed her. We also know via the coroner that Marcia Van Druten died by multiple blunt force trauma. So if you put all the pieces together, Jonathan Schmidt is alleged to have bought that crowbar, gone to Marcia Van Druten's home, bashed in the door with the crowbar, and then hit Marcia Van Druten with it.
Schmidt has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges in this case, including 2 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, aggravated burglary, and 2 counts of felonious assault.
Prosecutors are asking that he be held without bond. Neighbors in North Toledo woke up to gunshots very early Tuesday morning, then found a body outside their homes.
Toledo police say someone shot and killed 44-year-old Leon Oldham near Central in LaGrange. Tatiana Cash was at the scene.
Shots rang out early this morning here in the North Toledo neighborhood. This is a 100 block of Bronson, just off of LaGrange, where we are told by police that one man was actually found here lying on the sidewalk near the Zablocki Senior Center there. But again, here is where an early morning shooting happened. There were shell casings on the ground. WTOL was actually able to see detectives going and knocking in on doors, trying to figure out exactly what happened. The person that we spoke with actually was a neighbor who says that he found the man there, called police. EMTs got there. Unfortunately, were not able to save them. 44-year-old Leon Oldham was pronounced dead on scene. No one currently in custody yet. However, they are saying that if you have any details to call Crime Stoppers, you could be eligible for a reward, but it is in order to help solve this currently active investigation.
Toledo has seen 8 homicides so far this year, and that number is similar to this time last year.
But it is lower than the same time in 2024. Here's a breakdown by neighborhood. West Toledo has seen the most with 3, followed by South Toledo with 2. The data shows North Toledo, the Old West End, and Central City each with 1.
And when you look at the demographics of the victims, there are no single age group. The oldest victim was 67 years old, the youngest just 3 months.
An investigation is underway after a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed a man in Frenchtown Township.
It happened on Sunday, April 26th, and when a driver said that the suspect came at him with a knife. Laura Sandlin has the story.
One person is dead, and a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy is now on administrative leave following a shooting that took place here at the Town Place Suites in Frenchtown Township. The sheriff's office says the suspect had threatened someone else with a knife while trying to get money from them. And according to a press release from the sheriff's office, deputies were called to the hotel just after 11 a.m. yesterday morning. Upon arriving, that was when the deputy found the suspect with a knife. Now, we don't know exactly what happened between the suspect and deputy next, but the sheriff's office says after making some sort of contact with the suspect, the deputy tased the suspect twice before firing their gun twice and shooting the suspect. The sheriff's office says the deputy then immediately started first aid until the fire department and EMS arrived and took over medical treatment, but the suspect died on scene. The deputy was not hurt and no other injuries were reported. The deputy is now on administrative leave per standard protocol as the investigation continues. Right now, the identities of both the suspect as well as the deputy involved have not been revealed yet at this time. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department is doing a separate independent investigation, and if you have any information or were a witness to this, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department is asking that you call their dispatch line. WTOL 11 has reached out for any associated body cam or footage from this incident. We've not heard back yet at this time.
Since then, we've learned new details in that deadly shooting.
The man who called 911 says he was with his young daughter when he saw the suspect holding an explicit sign, and the situation quickly escalated.
When she read it out loud to me, I was just totally stunned. Like, what did you say? And then I looked, and he's just standing there with a grin on his face. Kind of blew my mind. So I opened my door, and I had words with him and told him that, you know, he probably shouldn't be out here. There's kids out here, and my concern for my daughter and everyone else's kid that reads that. And he started to approach me and had something in his hand. Can't say if it was exactly a knife or if it wasn't, but I locked my door. He kept threatening me. I just drove off and called Central Dispatch.
And essentially you went into protective dad mode.
Absolutely. Locked down the vehicle, and I just wanted to get her out of there.
The driver now says that he regrets opening his door in the first place.
And again, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office is handling that independent investigation. That deputy remains on paid administrative leave, which again is standard policy. A flight to Atlanta was forced to turn around before takeoff after a passenger refused to hang up the phone.
The situation escalated inside the cabin with other passengers stepping in. Here's what happened. When flight crews tell you to hang up the phone and put it in airplane mode ahead of takeoff, they are not making a suggestion. They really need you to do that. In fact, they won't let the plane take off until that happens.
Just rip him off the plane. He's in the front row. Your family, your kids, they're Please be considerate.
One person on a Delta flight this week refused to end a phone call ahead of takeoff, leading to a dispute between passengers. In fact, passengers, you can see them here urging that individual to hang up as the situation grows tense. Delta says the passenger ignored repeated instructions from the crew to end the call. That person then became disruptive, and that forced the aircraft to return to the gate. That flight did eventually take off, but it was about an hour behind schedule because of that delay and that person refusing to listen to the flight crews.
Ooh, that's a tough situation.
Yeah, one thing that I haven't gotten to figure out is if that person was on the plane when it got to take off or if they yanked them and took them back inside.
Good point. Hopefully no one missed their connections with that big hour delay.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you've noticed tall grass popping up around Toledo, you are not alone.
Anthony DeFilippo is on your feed right now.
If you've been driving around Toledo lately, it would be pretty hard to miss some of the areas with high grass, like boulevards and parks, like right here at Woodsdale Park off the Anthony Wayne Trail. And I asked the city why some of these areas haven't been mowed. Well, they said rain plays a huge role in a couple of other key factors. Officials say the timing starts with the city's budget not being approved until the end of March, which delayed the start of mowing season while more than 300 contracts were finalized. On top of that, a wetter than normal spring has made things worse, with more than 5.5 inches of rain falling in Toledo since April 1st, helping grass grow faster than crews can keep up. The city says it's now working through more than 200 mowing work orders every week, covering parks, boulevards, and other public spaces. Officials say the goal is to get most areas caught up by the end of the week before returning to a normal mowing schedule.
Obviously a lot of rain that we've seen.
Well, the rain obviously helps that grass grow very quickly, but it also inhibits some of those crews and those contractors from getting out if those yards are too wet and that sort of thing. So it's been a real battle this spring.
Yeah, but as Ryan has mentioned during our newscast, it's kind of like, taking a closer look at the forecast and being like, okay, when do I have this dry window that I can get out there and mow?
Yeah, and so if we can get those yards to dry out, I think they'll have a better chance for it. But the beginning part of May is looking pretty wet. So I'd expect some of those yards and those fields to remain pretty high.
All right.
Ever heard a seagull and thought, I could do that better?
All the time, yeah. Well, one teacher took that challenge all the way to Europe and placed in a major contest.
Wait till you hear how his side hustle is making him a celebrity at home and the impression from one of our own you won't want to miss.
You could represent the U.S. That was pretty good.
We just want to make seagulls sexy again.
From costumes to full-on squawks, an unusual competition had people screeching Why organizers say this contest is all about changing minds. We have told you about some unusual competitions on the show before, but this one might take the cake.
A small town in Belgium is hosting a seagull screeching contest.
That's really good.
Wow, impressive.
He should win. I don't even know what everybody else did.
Participants gathered.
Oh, never mind. That's really good too.
16 different European countries were represented to imitate the sounds of seagulls, and a lot of them dressed the part as well. The organizer of the event says he wants to help people see seagulls in a more positive light.
Wow.
He says the birds often get a bad reputation and are sometimes called rats of the sea. That's so mean.
Well, they come to land sometimes too.
So he brought others together in a fun way to motivate people to see the beauty in seagulls.
Did they have to dress like that though?
Well, they didn't have to. The one guy was just like, you know, street clothes, I guess. How do you discover that you have this talent?
Well, let's see. Let's see if anyone here can discover.
Let's do it on the count of 3, Sophia.
Nah, I'm not falling for your tricks again. I just want to say the guy who in charge of this competition described seagulls as sexy.
He's like, we want to make them sexy again.
His words, we played it before.
Do you have other words you'd like to choose?
No, I'm just saying those were his words, and that's something.
Sure. Seems accurate.
I don't.
You gonna give it a
By
shot?
who's? No.
Give it a shot.
When I go to the beach, maybe, when I'm trying to talk to him.
You could represent the U.S. That was pretty good.
Thank you. I'll be here all morning. I'll work on it.
That was pretty good.
Have you worked on it since?
No, I want to hear it from you guys.
I'm more like a raven. I'm like,
Okay, that was a really good crow.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Heather, what
Mine
bird
would be
can
more
you
like.
That was good too.
That's a tropical bird right there. I don't know which one, but that's a tropical bird.
I was like, it's okay. Can we get another rendition of yours? Because it was so good. That was pretty good, wasn't it? You were the only one brave enough to do it when we were on air in the morning too.
Yeah.
Well, I liked
Great
your
job.
impressions. We all could be different birds in the jungle.
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks for spending time with us on your feed.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, right. You can find all of these stories and videos and Sophia's impression of other animals on WTOL 11 anytime on your favorite social media feeds.
For all of us here, Sophia Pericone, meteorologist Ryan Weekman, and all of us at WTOL 11, thanks for watching.